the first computer that was built, a personal computer, my father built it.
What?
And so my father built the
Daddy.
And so I actually started to learn how to communicate with that computer even before I got to the computer classes in my high school.
Whoa. Okay.
Sit here with Honorable Kadri, video 7.
Welcome back. I hope you guys are enjoying this conversation. This is what you call a value-packed CTA. The reason I'm calling it a CTA, it is the playhouse where Kadri is sharing her life story, but it's also a class in session on Estonia. I don't even want to call it on digital empowerment. No, it's more than that. There's so much. You're getting to learn a lot about Estonia, and in that comes the digital, in that comes the culture, in that comes their history, in that comes so much more. I hope you are enjoying this as much as we are. Now, we finished, I don't even want to call it the first half. We are still in 1991. But this is such a major pivotal place because in 1991, Estonia, for like the fifth time, gained independence. Freedom from the oppressors. Kadri, I'll hand it over to you. You're in America, 1991, this momentous thing happens.
So from there, we basically lose everything. Because we don't have a government, we don't have our own economy, we don't have a governance system, we don't have literally anything.
Wow.
And so it's a complete reset in terms of a country. We start from zero.
Oh my God. Okay, break it down for me more. The government that was there was instilled by Russia.
Yes.
The infrastructure that was there was instilled by them as well.
Yes.
And they own it.
Yes.
So what do? They leave the country.
Well,
and they carry.
Of course, it didn't happen in day one. It was basically from there started the gradual pull out of Soviet forces from Estonia. From there began the verification and issuance of Estonian citizenship.
Wow.
From there began the initiation of setting up a new government, holding first elections, all of that.
Wow.
And so.
But how was the day that announcement happened? What was the mood like in the country?
Well, of course, it was, number one, it was huge relief. It was the fact that
there's no blood.
There is no blood. We pulled it off. The tanks that were heading for our capital, the military ships that were circling the capital from the sea, they did not come to take down our leaders.
Wow.
And so the country regains its independence.
You know, that word that you've said, at first there was relief.
Yes.
We're not dying. There's no war.
Yeah.
We're not going into civil war. Because you had seen what had happened in terms of people being killed.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is there joy?
Of course there is. There is massive
jubilation.
Joy. It's all of that, but it is also just the fact that, now we need to start. Because, you cannot just, say, oh, great, 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 when you know that, the backbone of any economy is private sector, and you don't have it. When you know that you have occupiers in your country, and you need to verify who is an occupier and who is not.
Oh,
because everybody had to verify that they had blood lineage to the first Estonian Republic to get their citizenship.
No way.
So the full population database needed to be created afresh.
So, this is now where it becomes new for us, and not really also at the same time. So, Estonia's backbone is Russia in terms of infrastructure.
Soviet Union.
Soviet Union, yes, Soviet Union. That is stripped out, and this country, I mean, you're literally saying people have to come and say, prove to the country that you are from the country.
Yes.
Even though you are from the country.
Yes, you had to prove.
Wow. So what did your dad do? What did you do? You were over age.
Yeah. So I relied on my parents to prove. And so my dad, that time my grandmother was alive, and my grandmother was born in 1904. And so that is the previous Estonian Republic time.
The previous is so there was records of your grandmother being born somewhere.
Yes, birth certificates, proof that she was part of the previous Estonian Republic citizens.
Wow. So you had to prove from that far back.
You had to be able to link yourself along bloodline to the previous Estonian Republic.
In the previous Estonian Republic, the last version of it was 1904.
No. It started, so the independence began in 1918 and ended in 1945 with the Second World War end. So you had to be able to place your bloodline into that part.
Wow.
Documentary.
I get it. I know, and it makes perfect sense in what you're saying. And who is the one saying this? Who is, you're rulerless, so who is deciding?
So, of course, now, the creation of the structures for the continuation of the Estonian Republic began. So, of course, we had the thought leaders who were part of the freedom fight for Estonia's freedom.
Your version of the Mau Mau.
Yeah, our version of the Mau Mau.
Yes.
And so they now started to, set up the structures. What will it look like when now people need to prove these things? It was not day one. Like, for example, the exit of all the Soviet army and everything that was part of the Soviet army, any of the Soviet state military, but also personnel, anybody who chose to go back to Soviet Union or to Russia. Basically, there was a year of just getting all of that out. So there is an organization to it, and there is very clear, what happens after what.
And then now there would also be at the same time all residents begin applying for your
Estonian citizenship.
And to do that, these are the criteria.
Yeah.
And the core one being you need to prove lineage to the previous Estonian
Republic, yes.
Wow. So your parents, through your grandmother, proved that,
yeah.
and that automatically, and at this
and
time...
then the moment my parents have proved, I have proved to them. So my birth certificate, my parents are there, their birth certificate, my grandmother is there, for example.
Okay. Now, is this paper and pen?
Yeah.
So is this Estonia Digital Foundation, has it started Estonia has an amazing digital foundation in which the country sits on. Is this when it starts?
So at first, of course, we're talking the year 1991.
I know. So none of this.
So this is where, if you remember, I first met internet in USA in August 2020. In August 1991. It's when all computers exchange data only through a floppy disk and all of that. And so at the very start, of course, number one, Estonia was really poor. Because of everything that had happened, the average salary for an Estonian was equivalent of 5,000 shillings.
What?
5,000 shillings was what an average Estonian earned.
Wow.
But not only that...
I know there's people who maybe are not in shillings. What's that? Divide that by 140. Just
Yeah, 140 into euros, 129 into dollars.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. And so not only that people were poor, also there was not enough food available. And so there were coupons that were issued for somebody. So basically every family had their limit of how many kilos of sugar they can purchase, how many, loaves of bread, how much of vodka, how much of... So basically there were coupons that families were given so that nobody can buy more than what is available in the country.
What? This is another level of poverty.
Yes.
And by the way, just for context, where are you at this time? Do you still stay in the States? You come back to Finland?
So I continued to study in Finland.
So from the States, you went back to Finland?
I went back to Finland. Of course, every now and then I would pop into Estonia.
Yeah.
And so in many ways, because I lived in Finland, I got to experience very little of this period in Estonia.
Yeah.
And, whenever I would go home from Finland, I would always go with some gifts and things like that.
Yeah.
And also because, because I was registered as a person in Estonia. So my parents got an extra set of coupons, which I wasn't using.
Oh my.
So, I mean, it was that important. And then also, I mean, this is where the interesting part comes. So, because in my family, we don't drink alcohol, but everybody was given alcohol coupons. So you could trade them for example, sugar coupons to make jams for winter.
Yeah.
And so you could trade the coupons.
No, Kadri, this is poverty.
It is. It is. I mean, in Kenya, can you imagine earning 5,000 shillings a month?
No, I can't. Not to say that there are people who don't earn that right now.
Yes, but
because that's
can
difficult.
you imagine?
Me, I can't.
Yeah.
Even the lunch you've just eaten.
And so that was 1991. That was 1992.
Wow.
That was still into 1993, because to build up private sector, it's not an overnight thing.
So is there an agenda to build now private sector? Is there a mass recruitment, in lack of a better word, campaign that's going out telling people build businesses? Because this land, some of this was land given back to the original people.
So 1991 is when we started the process of redoing the land registries, looking again at, whom did this land belong to at that time? Does it need to get privatized? So privatization of what the state had taken and for it to be returned back to the right owners took again several years. It's not, I mean, if there is a family living there right now in your grandparents' house, do you want to give them rent options? Do you want them out? What do you want to do? I mean, these are human beings.
Wow. So this is such a complex process. Even the fact that is when there's a discovery that some people don't want to go back to Russia.
To Russia as well, yes. And yeah, so this is the point at which those who decided to go back, they left. Those who thought that they might have a better future in Estonia stayed. And I think to a large extent, they're right. Their future in Estonia is better than anything they would get in Russia.
Yeah.
Of course it's better.
Yeah.
But they made the choice of staying, and they were very much aware that they would need to pass certain tests to qualify for citizenship.
And now this is there a president that is put in place at this time?
So yes, Estonian held elections, and the first president, Lennart Meri, was voted in as a president.
Okay.
And then, of course, at that point in time, only those who had proven that they are citizens
could vote.
Yes.
The complexities of what is happening here is so difficult. there's a lot. First of all, there's no money. There's no basic needs, food. So there's rationing and quota system. You can only take a certain amount of products. 3, you have people from the different regime that you've just been set free from saying we're not going to leave. You have people who are Estonians having to reprove that they're Estonians, getting back their stuff. Then there's also the government trying to build up the economy, because without the economy, and as clearly, now I understand why you say that SMEs are the heartbeat of.
Yeah, and so there was, if entrepreneurship has been repressed for decades,
Oh my God.
it means that the moment you are free to become an entrepreneur, you become. Because it is something you've been wishing to do all these decades when it was not allowed, because in Soviet Union you could not run as a private enterprise. And so indeed there was a sudden surge in all forms of entrepreneurship straight away. And all of them are SMEs, because it's normally one person, maybe a family of 2 or 3, maybe it's buddies, 4 of them. I mean, there was no enterprise at that point, which was, maybe even reaching 10 people, because, literally you're just looking at, okay, let me start this. Let's see what we can do with those who are of like mind.
When you say the country was reset, you mean the country was reset.
Yeah.
It went back down to 0. The kiosks which were there, the shops which were there, because everything was state-owned.
Yes.
And state being Russia.
Yes.
So when you say everything again has to start. My God, I can't fathom this. You see, my mind is trying to understand this, and the epiphany comes, I'm like, but that doesn't make sense. How?
Yeah.
So where are the people's mindsets at this time? Hopeful?
Oh yeah, but it's build. It's literally, there is, okay, agreeably, there was, soon after, there was, the older contingent who said, yeah, but during Soviet time we could do nothing and we were still earning money, so why are we now struggling?
Didn't that sound like the Egyptians, the Israelites? It was so good in Egypt.
Yes. And of course, those who had the Soviet Union mentality, they were like, no, you guys, look, you've messed up everything.
For real?
Yeah. But those who knew that, okay, we've got back our country, and the only thing to do is to build it and create all the international partnerships, etc., because Estonia straight away, of course, knew that it was going to join European Union.
Yeah.
It started to line up everything that it needs. Also, because of its level of poverty, it qualified for development aid from European Union to Estonia.
Okay.
So Estonia became a recipient of the similar development cooperation funds as Africa or many other countries are currently. So Estonia relied quite a bit in its reconstruction on that. It also relied heavily, of course, on the goodwill and support of, like I said, Finland was like our brother. So Finland was one of the countries that really looked at how can we support our brother. Also, Finland took in a lot of Estonian labor at that point in time, because when Estonia was quite poor, and if you did not have the entrepreneurial spirit to start something yourself, you might go to work in Finland.
And that's still, again, just because you brought that up, when we did the ferry with you from and by the way, ferry is not what when we did the mini ship, when you did the cruise ship, I called it a ferry. Yet it's not what I thought. I asked you how many of them happened a day. You told me about 7.
Yeah.
That ferry had 2,000, 1,000, 2,000 people close. That amount of people are constantly traveling between Estonia and
And Finland.
In Finland.
Well, at that time, it was when the end of Soviet time. There was a single ferry, one going and coming back.
Okay.
So it was called Georg Ots.
Yes.
And so it was initially just one.
Okay. Now they are multiple and they do multiple trips a day.
Yes.
So that partnership and that brotherhood, that means people working in Finland and Finland's working in Estonia.
Currently, yes, both ways. At that point in time, it was mostly Estonians going to work in Finland, earning some better income than they would with the way Estonian economy was at the very start.
Okay. Then now, what about handouts? If I'm not wrong, there's a place Estonia said no to handouts.
Yes, and so this is exactly where, so Estonia started to create its digital strategy in the year 1994.
Okay.
Because Estonia knew 1994 that the only way for it to break out of the poverty, the only way for it to recover the lost time it has had while being under Soviet occupation, and the only way for Estonia to make, compensate for the low population and the sparsely placed population was to go into digital. And not only go into digital, but also look at everything from the perspective, is it future-proof? And so indeed, Finland, for example, offered to Estonia its telephone exchange system, because Estonian telephone exchange system in our capital was decades old. It was, literally prehistoric. And so when Finland said, look, here in Helsinki, we are replacing our telephone exchange system. Ours is, maybe just 20 years old. Would Estonia want to have it? And so anybody with common sense would have said, oh yeah, sure, we get a free telephone exchange, bring it over. But Estonia said, no, thank you. If it's 20 years old, it is too old for us.
So, okay, the question I'm trying to, who is Estonia? Who are the people who are making these decisions? This is you know what I mean?
So the political leadership. And so Estonia had very, very strong, very futuristic, very visionary political leadership. Some of them were the Estonians who had exited and come back.
Okay.
So, for example, when our first president was Lennart Meri, but soon after that, our president was Toomas Hendrik Ilves, who had grown up in the States and who had now come back. And so we had more and more of the Estonians whose parents left during the Second World War. They grew up maybe in the States, in Canada, in Sweden, name it, because those were the sort of like the common areas where Estonians emigrated to. And now that Estonia was free, they said, we need to come back because this is our country, we need to build it.
Okay, so part of the success of this whole thing was the visionary leadership.
Absolutely.
That you got.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to, first and foremost, so what you guys got right from the beginning was leadership. Yes.
Visionary leadership who is in agreement in how the country needs to move forward. And so the creation of Estonia as a knowledge-based society, as an information society, as a digital society, it started to take shape in 1994. And in 1996, it was adopted as a blueprint or as a way in which Estonia is going to go forward.
I'm coming back to your story, but how is this then being communicated to the people? Because the people, as much as you're the leaders, you have to communicate the vision to the people and get the people on board so that the vision can be executed.
Okay, so
because now when I'm in the country, everybody speaks the same way.
Yes.
Or at least all the people I met.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And so for that, let me take you 2 steps back.
Even 7.
Because
I'm invested.
So when I was studying in high school, 80s, Estonia already was teaching computer programming in high school.
Oh.
It was in DOS. We had computer classes. We had to program the snake to move around and things like that. And so Estonia built its own school computer. It was called Juku. And so it was built specifically to teach computer programming in schools in the 80s. And so before Juku as a mass production was done for Estonian schools, the very first personal computer that was developed in Estonia from scratch.
Hardware included?
Everything. From zero, the first computer that was built, a personal computer, my father built it.
What?
And so my father built the
Like daddy?
And so I actually started to learn how to communicate with that computer even before I got to the computer classes in my high school.
Whoa. Okay. You are going to miss out a big part. So 6 years old, you
Yes.
see this large computer in the whole hall.
Yes.
Then you're telling me a few years later, your dad builds a
About
computer.
10 years later, yes.
And is it desktop version?
Yeah, desktop version.
He invents or builds his own computer.
Yeah, because you see, at that time, we are in Soviet Union. There's no access to everything that is happening in US, the Commodores, the Apple One, all of these old computers.
Yes.
We are blocked off by a solid wall.
Yes.
And we have no access to that. So my father, knowing that, okay, so there was that huge mainframe which filled the whole hall, but there is need for the next version of it. And so he built it.
What? What? Oh, Kadri? Loud and clear, everything good. I'm good to go when you are. Is the mic recording?
Yes,
Is everything
we are
good?
good to go, and take a step.
What's up, guys? We are 4 Kenyans standing, freezing our ass out in Estonia. And what brought us here is the Estonia Trade Mission. So now listen, we're going to give each and every single one of you a tidbit. We're going to summarize today from our perspective, keeping this short and sweet. My name is Esther. What stood out for me is that this country in 1990, people were making lines to buy bread, to be given bread, because that's how far back they're being given. They just gained their independence from Russia. Story for a different day. But then the thing that jars me about today's conversation is to see how far this country has come because of that. Now, there's nothing that Kenya or the rest of the African countries can't do. The only thing holding us back is one thing.
I'm telling you.
It's one thing.
Man, what's the thing? What's the thing, man? What is the thing?
I love Jesus. It's one thing. So I'm trying to find the right words. Corruption. That's the only thing preventing us being from ahead of this country. Pass the mic. Pass the spoon.
Pass the spoon.
Pass the spoon.
Is that pass the spoon? Pass the spoon. I don't care. Me, I'm happy to take it. It's cold, first of all. So, do you remember the time in the Bronx when the rappers used to come together? There'd be a fireplace here in the middle. Then they'd be spitting lyrics and talking about things that are affecting them. For me, the thing that stood out today is just how simple it was for people to move away from a place of darkness to a place of light. They decided they wanted to serve everyone instead of serving one or two people. Do you remember that? Like that big man theory where we all believe that the only way I can win is if I win and you lose. And I learned that these guys understood how we can all win together. And that's what I got from today. And because like the 4 Musketeers, we're going to be here every night for 10 nights, wherever we are, we're going to be telling this story. I think it's nice for me to be able to say my personal conviction is I'm going to figure out how I can win collaboratively with people instead of winning by myself and then somebody else has to lose for me to win. That's what it is.
I love it.
Pass the mic.
And the collaboration has started.
Yeah, pass the mic.
Who's this man?
By the way, this is Tony Domo. This is Tony Domo. I forgot to mention. Tony Domo is over here. Yes, what is that could go.
Yo, hey, these players, what stood out for me? There are very many Kenyan businesses aspiring to go global. I think today we nailed it. Estonia is the most advanced digital society in the world. Estonia is the home to 10 unicorn startups.
Billion-dollar company.
Billion-dollar companies. And this is why. In Estonia, you can set up a business in 15 minutes.
Ooh.
It doesn't stop there. It's the cheapest place to set up business. It keeps getting better.
Yeah.
In Estonia, you charge 2% corporate tax. Imagine, we pay what? 30? 35%? 30%.
Imagine that.
2% corporate tax. The other thing that really struck me is that it takes 3 minutes to do your annual tax declaration.
Yeah.
Hey, 3 minutes. First of all, the form is already filled.
Right.
You only need to verify, do
E-signature.
e-signature. The thing is gone.
Look at that. Look at that.
You guys have never seen this.
Like you guys have never seen that train before. In the middle of the road. And a tram. Be unbound.
So, guys, Estonia is a gateway to accessing the European market. 450 million consumers. So, if you're listening to this, this is your time to go global.
Yes.
Think Estonia, go global. You have no more excuses. Come here. We're also coming here. We are here. By the way,
better weather, but come.
wait, anyone wants to touch on e-residence?
Bro,
you can get.
Tomorrow
That's
night,
yeah.
man. Tomorrow night.
you're not
Tomorrow
even-
night. Okay, guys are feeling cold. But anyway, Atiza, it takes 3 weeks to get
Citizen.
e-citizen
Residency.
e-residence card.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's great.
Let me stop you there.
That's great.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Pastor Mike.
By the
Be unbound. Be unbound.
It's go with Marco Dinge. So there was an argument, a debate that one of these guys, you know, if we were rappers, one would be Biggie, one is Tupac.
Pac! This
Pac.
is Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Biggie.
Yeah, that's another one. Yeah, okay. Biggie, Jay-Z, Pac. Biggie, Jay-Z, Pac. I'm the new kid on the block. I'm Kendrick. Yeah, all right. I think for me, Go with Marco Dinge is my name. I think for me, the thing that gets me is the way you have a collective vision that everybody in this country seems to be owning. Remember the way we had like that vision 2030 in Kenya?
Yep.
You know, and these guys had a similar thing in itself. But the difference is they executed it.
Yeah.
From 1991, the vision was building, and today we have an advanced country with great potential. In fact, I don't think they have unlocked, that potential of what there is.
Not yet.
But the thing that is interesting is that they also have a colonial past.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Germans,
The
Russians,
Germans
Bulgarians.
occupied them,
Everyone
the
was
Danish
here.
occupied them,
Nazis were here.
the Nazis were here, the Russians were here,
Yeah.
but they were able to break free from that.
Yeah.
We have similar histories, and it can be done. That's what I'm taking away. Yes.
So for
mhm.
sure,
That's a good point.
I think for every night for the rest of the week, it'll
Yeah.
be so nice to come and do this.
Yeah.
And then just share unscripted how
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
feel, post it the way it is.
Yeah.
And so people get to see what it is we're learning, so they learn with us.
Guys,
See you in a couple of hours.
freezing.
Yeah, let's go.
Peace, man. I'm out, man. It's just too cold.